Welcome to Voice Choice, where I voice my opinion on any given choice. Let's get started. Voice Choice Reviews. Nightmare on Elm Street, the franchise. Let's do our ranking. The original A Nightmare on Elm Street, created by Wes Craven, is an amazing masterpiece. And yes, it is a little bit rough around the edges due to the budget problems and whatnot, which Wes Craven had just come out of making Swamp Thing and Return of Swamp Thing, and he was on a roll, speaking. And this was another Mona Lisa-esque masterpiece he made. The characters were very likable, very relatable. And Nancy's turmoil that she kind of goes throughout the movie is just amazing. Because everyone else thinks she's crazy. Because you see in Freddy Krueger. And her friends are getting off one by one, with Rod Lane being hanged in a cell. Tina being killed in the alleyway. She was viciously mauled throughout the room. That terrifying scene where she's up on the ceiling and stuff. It was just amazing. And, it was just her and Glenn at the end. Glenn gets sucked into the bed. They use this upside-down room technique. It was immaculate. It was amazing. It's a very impressive film for the budget they had. And Robert's first work, playing Freddy. They had his makeup was almost very subtle, like a rotting look, It didn't have the big old, accentuated features that would come in later films. It was very down-to-earth subtle. And, and on some degree, it was more effective. A lot of people would say that one is their favorite because of this. And the twist ending where he's the car, and he'll always be tormenting them is just one for the books, really. So, that's my review. Now, with every review, I'm going to give it 1 out of 10. 10 being, oh my god, they did the best. They couldn't have done better. 1 being, yikers, something went wrong. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, which you'll see on the screen, I'll put that up in a minute, gets a solid, drum roll please, 8 out of 10. Now, I'll also give my reasons for why it's 8 out of 10. So, when it comes to the brutality of it, 10 being the most brutal thing you've ever seen, 1 being not so much, it gets a solid 6. There's a lot of very brutal scenes, and most of its rating comes from Glenn's death, because, oh my gosh, it's like geyser of blood, literally. It's crazy. So, gore, 6. Story, and the depth of story, I believe, just how well it's written, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. And that's because, Nancy's struggle is more relatable and more realistic. And, when it comes to the acting and the budget, not as much. I give that a 5, and I'm being generous, because the movie's budget was very low. But it was really impressive for what they could do. And the acting, well, this was most of the people's first role, so it wasn't going to be the best. But Nightmare on Elm Street, 8 out of 10. Alright, on to A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Dead. This movie was a very interesting, unique concept, which centers around the main character of this one, Jesse. Jesse struggling with his nightmares of Krueger, with that amazing bus scene at the beginning, just being tormented. And also, if you didn't already know, it had the undertone of homosexuality, so it was also, groundbreaking in that area. Not a lot of movies did that. The homosexuality thing was underneath the surface, and that itself is groundbreaking. But this movie, what can I say? It's great. It's a great film. Freddy Krueger's makeup is real slimy, right, in this one. Real glistening. And this is when he gets the full bald head, almost pizza look kind of, but in this one it's more like slashes and stuff. And it's got this pink color palette. But the coolest part about it is he got these sunken, darkened eyes, like sunken like a caveman almost. And he's got these really cool, vibrant, like orange reddish contacts in there. It's really neat. And now, while some of the choices are questionable in this movie, for instance, I feel like this was the first one since Wes Craven left. And they did try to replace Robert with a stunt person, but that didn't work out. He definitely got his way on that one. Some of the choices were just a bit questionable. For instance, you like it or you don't, he had these weird finger blades. You know, he had these weird like finger blades going out. And at one part, he jumps out randomly into the real world and kills a bunch of kids at a pool. Like, Freddy can't do that. But you know what? The director said, hey, in my movie, he can do that. So it was in. But despite the questionable choices, it had some memorable scenes. The scene where Freddy literally rips out of Jesse, it's so cool. The makeup is so on point and so terrifying. I mean, arguably, this was the last Nightmare on Elm Street movie for a while where Freddy was just terror. He didn't have his comedy. He was just scary. He's a terrifying beast. And, you know, I will say, most of the other characters kind of fall flat in this one. Say, Jesse's one of the only cool character, besides his friend, I forget his name. You know, the part where Jesse becomes Freddy Krueger, and Jesse's little girlfriend, the girl that likes Jesse, is all scared, and he goes, I'll do my best, bear with me. Goes, there is no Jesse. I'm Jesse now. So chilling. Or how about the one, you got the body, I got the brain. It's just so cool. You know, the quotes in it. The quotes in 2 are so memorable. So, now we're down to the nitty-gritty, you know. The ending was really cool. One where they're probably dead because Freddy, you know, rams his glove outside the girl. They're probably dead. So, but the bus drives away. The final rating for A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Dead, is a solid, drumroll, 6 out of 10. A generous rating from me. It gets a 6 because of the heart of the main character, the Freddy makeup, and the general terror of Freddy in the movie. It loses a lot of points, and I'll just get right down to it, because it's a great movie, it's just not a good nightmare movie. It's not a good Nightmare on Elm Street movie. They make questionable decisions left and right. Some of the decisions they didn't stick, and it just wasn't my favorite. Don't hate it, trust me. You'll see some Nightmare on Elm Street movies that are rated lower on this list. But it gets a solid 6 out of 10 for its plot, its portrayal of Freddy with the makeup, and how groundbreaking its concepts were. Alright, now this is a big one, ladies and gentlemen. This ranking's a big one. In this whole entire movie, this is just my bias opinion, but I'm going to look at it unbiased to give you the review. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Bro, it's so good. I love the movie. I think it's a masterpiece because this was the time where the budget was coming together, where they had the right blend of comedy and horror. The cast was strong, Robert was in his prime, and the terror was amped. The comedy was amped. It was just amazing, and the kills. Oh my gosh. Let's dive into it. We're going to dive into it, but this thing's so yummy, I got to dissect it one at a time for you. So, this movie has nothing to do with the sequel. Nothing. Anything I just told about the sequel has nothing to do with the third movie. I know, right? No Jesse, none of those characters. This one first takes place where we see a girl. She is making a nightmare house. She's making the nightmare house out of popsicle sticks, right? And she's doing it with the glue, and you get the theme playing. It's so amazing, right? She goes to sleep, and she's losing it. Freddy's in her dreams. She goes to a nightmare house. Tries to save the little girl. The little girl's bones. Fred's chasing her. She's getting stuck on stuff. And you can feel him breathing down your neck. It's so intense. And then, you know, one thing leads to another, and, you know, she tries to kill herself, or at least that's what people think. She goes into her bathroom, and Fred, he turns into the knobs of the sink and slits her wrists. So gruesome, it's so cool. I mean, this was amazing. He did the old 1-2, and people thought she was losing it unless she tried to commit suicide. And she was admitted to a insane asylum, a hospital for injured people. And she's there, and she's like screaming that phrase coming, and she's losing it. And they're trying to restrain her. They can't get the needle in. And lo and behold, you remember Nancy, who I mentioned in part 1? She's here. She got the same gray streak down her hair. She arcs in, and she takes care of it, right? And she is a huge presence in this movie, guys. It's great to see Nancy Thompson back. And lo and behold, she helps her, calms her down, and talks to her. Person to person, not like a patient. And talking, and eventually we meet this man who is a psychiatrist there. He helps the patients, but he's more friends with them. He's friends with patients like Kincaid, Taryn, and the kid in the wheelchair, a bunch of different patients, you know. And this is one patient that's he in his short time he makes puppets, you know. He loves to, but they won't let him carve wood because Freddy will slit his wrist. So he helps all these patients, but he's kind of like buddy friends with them too. So he talks to Nancy, and you know, talks to her, and she keeps recommending Hypnosil to him, and they keep talking about Fred Krueger, and you know, when she finds out it's Fred Krueger, you know, it triggers in her mind of, oh my God, these kids are in danger, because for years I was tormented by that same dream demon. And you know, that's when the plot amps up more, and this girl named pretty sure Jennifer, she loves to smoke, but she likes to burn herself. She loves TV. She's watching TV, and that's when the infamous death scene for her happens, where she is slammed into the TV by Freddy. His arms pop out the side of the box TV and grab her up. She's screaming. And he goes, "This is it, Jennifer. Your biggest break on TV." And then he goes, "This part will be censored. Welcome to prime time, bitch." And then he laughs. He slams her into the TV. So cool. That's just my rough thing of it. I'm not going to do the whole entire recreation of that. That's just a rough little rundown of it. It's just really, really neat, I think. So that happens. You got the iconic death where the kid looks like he's sleepwalking, right? Before that, Freddy, he turns into the puppet that the kid carved, and he grows to full size and slits down his arms and legs and pulls him up by his tendons. Wow, I know. Really creative and cool. And then he physically walks him to the top of the clock tower. And everyone else just thinks, hey, he's sleepwalking. So he goes all the way up there, and they quickly find out he's not sleepwalking, but it's too late. Fred cuts the tendons, and he falls as Fred laughs. It's so great. So honestly, those 2 kills I just mentioned, iconic kills in the Nightmare on Elm Street saga. And they're from the same movie. So those 2 are off. And now we're on the thing where everything's really heating up, because you got Taryn, Kincaid, and, you know, we'll just call him the wizard, because he's in a chair, and his friend, the one that can't speak, Joey can't speak, so Nancy has had enough, right? Her and the psychiatrist and this group of mentally disturbed children all band together, and they have a little just a sleep session, and they all go in the dream world together, and they find they can make it whatever they want it to be, and they do. So long story short, Joey gets taken down with Freddy later. Because, she's a hot lady and, do what you gotta do, Just taken down there. They try and save him. They eventually do. And at the end, they band together to fight Freddy. The Dream Warriors. And Freddy does this really, really cool thing where when he fights Taryn, he goes for a knife fight. He gets his blades out. And he's going at her. And she gets him in the side because she's really good with the blades. But he pulls the old 1-2 again. Syringe fingers in her arm to mess with her whole drug problem she had, and she's dead. I won't do this line too because I'm trying to get through it as much as I love the movie. So beyond that, he kills the kid in the wheelchair. He puts him back in the chair because he's trying to find him as a wizard, and dead. Kills him dead. And he stabs him. So Vic is dead. All that's left is Kincaid, the kid who can't speak, the psychiatrist, and Nancy, and of course the girl, the blonde girl from the beginning. She's still there as well. So they're all trying to fight him. Kincaid's not scared, constantly taunting Freddy. They eventually fight him, and Nancy has gone to the real world. Her and the psychiatrist track down her dad to find out where Freddy's remains are buried, because they had a little run-in with Freddy's mom, Amanda, who's a nun, who was, impregnated by a bunch of different psychopaths in an asylum, in a prison, And Amanda Kruger talks to them, says where his remains are buried, and just genuinely lets them know. And they go and find Dad, find his remains. So if they find her dad from the first movie, he's played by John Saxon, RIP. They go and find Freddy's remains from when he was burned to death, and they track him down. The remains become alive, so they keep him alive, and they destroy the remains, and with a cross, And when this happens, so right as the dad dies, right, that's killed by Freddy. Freddy's remains are eventually buried and destroyed, and Freddy, I say he's dead, right? It looks like there's a golden beam of light in the form of a cross on his head, and he's dead, explodes, gone, phased. And then Nancy's in the dream world, and it looks like her dad's there, but we all know he's dead. It's one of Freddy's trickaroonies. And then Freddy, as she goes in for the hug, stabs Nancy, killing her, and then Freddy's finally dead after that. And after that, they go on to live their lives. We see Nancy's funeral, which is very sad. And that's the end of Nancy's saga, and that's the end of the movie. A wonderful film. I've seen it many times, I love it. Now let's get into the ranking. I know that was a long one. I had to give my favorite film its due process for you. So, the final ranking for A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors is a Diamond Edition 10 out of 10 from yours truly. Now, I know you're wondering, a 10 out of 10? What could make that rating so good? For me, this was the only film for me that had the blend of horror and comedy that a Nightmare film should have. Its budget was way up. The writing was amazing. The Dream Warriors themselves were cool. The kills were iconic, and so were the catchphrases. And Robert was at the top of his game in this film. It's a 10 out of 10. This was the film, in my opinion, that they had peaked, They couldn't go above this for me. A lot of people like 1 the most. I'm a 3 guy. So, 10 out of 10. Here's the reasons why. You got Freddy in this movie is a 10 out of 10. The plot's 10. It's all 10 out of 10. That's just the shortened version. On to A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. The Dream Master. So, 3 was a hard film to follow. People think it'd be easy to follow such a film. It's not. And in this one, the I don't remember this one as much as I do 3, but I'll just give you the bare thing. Freddy's brought back to life by Dog P. The Dream Warriors, you know, the ones that were alive in 3 and survived. Killed. Kincaid killed. Joey killed. They're all killed. I'm all friends with the blonde female. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name from 3. She's in the 4th one. They're all friends with her, right? But the actress was replaced in the 4th one. So all the Dream Warriors are killed, basically. Even the blonde lady is stuck in a furnace. But now her friend Alice, who's like just moved here, you know, is like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And Alice is now the main heroine, main final girl, and her friends are now tortured by Freddy, because the blonde girl had passed that on to her when Alice went inside the dream. And whew, it's a doozy. This one's a doozy. So she likes this guy, right? And they're talking and whatnot and having this conversation, but her dreams are being inhabited. You know, I'm not gonna go through the whole run of this movie, but there's some great kills. You got the cockroach kill, where the lady's arms are broken, she slowed into a cockroach and is squished. You got the kill where the lady's lungs are, all the air sucked out, she's thrown down like a raisin. You got the meatball kill, just eats Joey like a meatball. And you just got so many kills in this, and they're really good. And makeup in this one is a little more sloppy than 3. I feel like this one looks drier. It's just more definitely pepperoni at this point. And Freddy has lost at least, I'd say, 35% of what he had in 3. And this one, it just feels like it's more comedy than anything else. Which we're going to get to more of that, trust me. But all I know is that it's been a day since my last recording. What was I saying? Alright, so yeah, the plot definitely suffered. 4 had a lot of great kills, you know, the meatball scene, and a bunch of really memorable kills, like the bug scene, where she squished a cockroach. But, you know, ultimately, 4 really fell flat. And I think the worst thing they did was kill Freddy with mirrors. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I mean, Freddy does die in some dumb ways. So, the final ranking for 4. So I don't really like the movie that much, but I'll give the final ranking. Alex's seal of approval. Here we go. 5 out of 10. That's me being generous. Great kills, memorable quotes, but the plot was utter garbage. You know, that's just my opinion, but I did not like the dog being resurrected by a dog P, and I definitely didn't like the mirror kill at the end. I felt like that was uninspired. So 5 out of 10 for the kills and quotes alone, really. Also, I didn't like that they killed the Dream Warriors in 4. Yeah, they did that. The Dream Warriors, all dead. Like, really? So, yeah, 5 out of 10. That's all I can say. You know, and now Alice, which was in 4, she would carry on to the next film. She was probably one of the best parts of the movie. So now we're on to the second movie, which is just real quick. I'm gonna tell you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can see that in the comment section down below. I very much appreciate it. All right, back to the review. So, Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Now this one's interesting, guys, because it's like you could already taste the cheese, which was in 4, because you know he's just getting less scary. In 5, it's like I'd say we're getting Cheese Town. We're getting there. We're in a little cheese suburb, because the scariness is almost completely gone. And this one continues Alice's story with the man that she had attraction with. She's with that guy in this fifth movie, and she's just trying to live her normal life. But she gets pregnant from the guy, and Freddy is basically entering the child's dreams. The dream child, there you go. But this one, it's like they took their whole budget and they raised it up, but they just threw writing right out the window. Some of the kills are pretty cool, though. In particular, there's a kill, one of the characters gets sucked into a comic book, and he's like his favorite comic book character, and transitions real smooth and nice and cool. And Freddy, at first, gets killed by this kid because the kid became a superhero, kind of like how the Dream Warriors fought Freddy in 3. Kid became a superhero and guns him down. Well, Fred just spins right around and kills him as Super Freddy. And Super Freddy's ripped. It's so cool. That one of the best parts of the movie, if not the best part. And it's just amazing. Of course, I can't say much for this movie's makeup department. The Fred makeup in this one, it just feels like in each movie it gets lazier and lazier. In 5, he's got this sagging face going, which will continue on to the next movie. And it just feels like the makeup gets drier and drier. And it's just weird. I mean, at this point, he is full pepperoni pizza at this point, but it's sagging. You know? It's just makeup for that one, lame, absolutely lame. So yeah, some people actually try to say that Freddy's makeup doesn't change throughout the movies. Trust me, it does. So yeah, makeup's terrible. But back on to the plot. So I'm not going to spoil too much. I know I've already spoiled a lot of this, which I will back and put a disclaimer, probably say at the beginning. But they eventually kind of fight Freddy, and then this one, we see Freddy has this baby, and the mother like absorbs it, like the ghost of Amanda absorbs it. The ending's so confusing. I don't even understand it, and I'm a Freddy fan. I'm a Nightmare fan. I don't even understand it. So the ending is what you make of it. Let's get down to the final ranking. So I know I didn't go over kills on this one. The kills in 5 aren't that memorable. Of course, you know, her love interest, the motorcycle kill. You know, you got the comic book kill, and you got the girl that gets her face stuffed full, and you know more. But we're not going to dive into all that. We got to get into the brass tacks, the ranking. So this movie, for kill department, it gets a solid 4 out of 10, mainly for the comic book scene. Freddy makeup, it's a 2 out of 10. It's awful. Cheese factor, which I know we didn't have those in the past ones, but I have to start putting a rating for that. And the higher the rating, the worse. Cheese factor here, it's about a 7. It's pretty cheesy. Budget, 10 out of 10. Definitely. Writing, maybe a 5 or 6. So, alright. Final ranking for Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Dream Child. It's a solid 6 out of 10. I like it slightly better than Dream Master. Its plot may have been goofy, maybe a bit abstract, but I could see how some of the reasoning went, and it's at least less goofy than Mirrors. It's at least less goofy than that ending, and the Dogby stuff. So the writing's better, so it gets 1 more. Alright, we're getting close, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I know I get to this point. Nightmare on Elm Street 6. Freddy's dead. I just call it Freddy's dead. This one, this is gonna be interesting. There's some parts of the movie that make me go, ooh. there's also some points in the movie that make me go, so I'm not going to spoil the whole movie, but yes, in this movie, Freddy has a daughter. I'll tell you that. Freddy's got a daughter, and it's like, okay, they never mentioned that ever before, but here we go. And it shows... Now, here's where it gets yummy, though. In the movie, they show Robert Englund as a young, pre-burn Freddy Krueger. It's so yummy. It's what us Nightmare fans have wanted to see since the beginning. And it's so cool to see him in his prime, to see him in his element before he became the dream demon we all know and love. So that's amazing, and Robert kills it. It's just, it's beautiful. The flashback scenes are a 10 out of 10. I don't care that the daughter's in it. Okay, that doesn't take down the rating of the flashbacks. The flashbacks himself, it shows him as an adult, it shows him as a kid killing school pets, and it's just so cool. Yeah, it's really awesome. And all the flashback scenes are yummy. Also, I think Alice Cooper plays his dad, plays Freddy's dad. Yum, yum, yum. So yummy. So yeah, flashbacks, 10 out of 10. Definitely. Now we get to the rest of the movie, which is like, you have certain parts of the movie which are serious, scary, and yummy, and then we get to the rest of the film. This is Cheeseville. This is the definition of Freddy and why people think he's a stand-up comedian. They've seen this movie. Freddy, at one point, rides a broomstick and says, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too." He says that so cheesy. It's like, really? Wizard of Oz. That's not even the goofiest part. He does, it's like a cartoon. He pushes out this, like, spike bed in the middle of the street. I can't even, guys. I don't know. It's so goofy and so cheesy. I swear. But that's just how it is, man. It's just cheesy in that one. So besides the whole Cheeseville thing, it is yummy because this is the film where they bring back Johnny Depp's character Glenn Lance for a little scene. He's on TV. There's a drug ad. It's pretty yummy. So that's delicious. The main characters, you got a deaf character, the token deaf character that's in it. You got... The other characters aren't really memorable. They're not really memorable. There's this one girl with this traumatic past. I remember her, and she knows karate, and tries to fight Freddy on. So I'm not going to get all into the plot of this one, because it's kind of hazy in my mind. I don't remember the characters' names, because they do go searching for Freddy. That is an element of it. They're searching for him, and they do find him. So he makes a full comeback, right? Brings back Elm Street, and it's up, because they have to find the daughter. It's up to the daughter to stop him. Does she? She blows him up, I believe. Or gets him fire, yeah, blows him up, and gone. I like in this movie he does an classic line where he goes, "Every town has an Elm Street." It's yummy. Oh my god, so yummy. Another yummy quote for the list. So that's the most I can say about it, because it's about all the juice I can squeeze out of it. I mean, I will give one of the best kill in the whole movie is the death kill, because he scratches the board and his head explodes because of the vibrations. That was clever, and it was good. So, for kills, since it only has maybe one really good kill, that's not counting Fred himself, kills, they get a 3 out of 10. Plot, it's not that memorable, it's not a good sign, but it's pretty token of the daughter character. So plot gets like another 3 out of 10. Makeup, let's not even talk about the makeup. It's just like Dream Child, not well done. So we're not gonna rate the makeup in this one. The flashback scenes, 10 out of 10, yummy. In fact, that's where most of the rating's going to come from, is the flashback scenes. Trust me. And the cheese factor is a 10 out of 10. It's above a 10. It's just immense in this movie. I mean, really, the only time we get a break is the flashbacks. So, the final ranking for Freddy's Dead is a 3 out of 10. I know, guys. But honestly, if I'm being honest with you, the 3 it gets is out of the yumminess. That is the flashbacks, but that ain't gonna save the whole movie. It's the flashbacks and the quote and the death kill. That's all I can squeeze out of it that I enjoyed. So, moving on. So after Freddy's Dead, interesting. You know what's Craven? I talked at the very beginning. Throw out my throat. Yeah. Wes Craven from the original, the one that made the original, comes back to make the next one. Comes back to make 7. A Nightmare on Elm Street. New Nightmare. Now, guys, I just want to remind, I'll remind you, this is my opinion. Just my first glance on it, what I still think of it. This should not affect your opinion. If you love this movie, great. You saw something I couldn't, and more power to you. But disclaimer, this one is just my take. The film is an abstract concept, you know. See, they have the traditional formula, which I will admit got tired after a while. They've been doing it for a long time, so Wes wanted to shake things up. And he thought, what if Freddy came and killed you in real life, killed the actors in real life? On paper, that's the coolest idea I've ever heard. Like, that sounds pimp. Freddy coming out of the screen to kill the actor counterparts that tormented the character. So well written, and I bet on paper it is. It's just, the translation was off for me. Freddy, copyright, not copyright, spoiler warning, in 3, 2, 1. It's not even Freddy, first off. It's the demon visualization of the character. Not Fred. A demon that looks like him. And he's got this really weird makeup that I'm not used to, and green hat and trench coat, which I mean, most were trying to break boards with this. So people that weren't used to, but I was so used to the token Fred, I still can't latch on to the look. They made Fred a little taller in this one. I keep saying Fred. They made the demon a little taller in this one. I'm not going to say Fred. It's not him. So, tormenting all of them. Even Robert Englund himself is in the movie, which is yummy. It's part of the reason, that's one thing I like, is Robert Englund's a pimp, and I'm a huge fan, so it's cool to see him just as Robert in the movie. It's kind of neat. But, well, the movie's a bit abstract. And this one, it was like in that awkward era of CGI, and it didn't do as much practical effects as they had in past movies. And that definitely, in my opinion, took away from the appeal of what the film could have been. And cutting of scenes like Robert being actually killed or tormented by Freddy, that should have been in there. It's just, the whole movie is this abstract drag that doesn't have actual Freddy. That's problem number 1. Bad CGI is problem 2. And the writing, it's just, I don't know. The writing's very good. And I'm sure on paper it's even better. But for me, it got lost in translation. But I'm not going to call the movie absolute poo. I'm gonna give you my rating, okay? And this is me being generous, okay? Trust me, it won't be as bad as Freddy's Dead. So, A Nightmare on Elm Street, New Nightmare. So yeah, the kills, I could go tell you all about all the kills, but we're just gonna give the rating because, so final rating, Nightmare on Elm Street, New Nightmare, is a solid I'd say a solid 5 out of 10. Probably ties close to Dream Master. So not my all-time favorite movie to watch, but I could sit through it. You know, I want to sit here and say it's worse than Freddy's Dead, but I know it's not. Robert still did fantastic in the movie. Wes was actually in the movie. It's kind of cool. There is nuggets of flavor in it. Also, Heather Langenkamp playing Nancy. She's not playing Nancy. She's herself in it, but it's still cool. So yeah, there was cool elements that really drove the rating for me. And I could understand how someone would pump the rating higher. Because it's either you get it, or you don't. Maybe I don't. I don't know. If you guys love it, awesome. Alright, so it's time for Robert's last nightmare. The last nightmare. This is his last movie appearance. You knew it was coming. Freddy versus Jason. This movie was mega hype. Really. It was. I bet. I mean, Freddy and Jason facing off on the screen. I mean, it was like King Kong versus Godzilla. Like, people would eat that up. Guaranteed. The name sounds cool. It made tons of money. And I'm going to give my honest rating on it. Okay? You know, I'm a Fred fan. And Fred looks so scary in this movie. They're going back to his scary roots, and I love it. And, you know, he's facing off against this skyscraper of a Jason. The guy for Jason in the movie, he's a skyscraper, but he's terrifying. It actually works. Which, you know, is a bit controversial. A lot of people are Kane fans, and they really want to see Kane face off against Robert, but let's face it, the Jason in the movie is unique and terrifying. And he gets tons of blood and gore and kills. And when I make my Friday the 13th ranking, I will revisit on his part of the movie. But I'm focusing on Fred. So, what is Freddy in this movie? Freddy is trying to, you know, if you've seen the Jason Goes to Hell movie, you see Freddy is basically using Jason to do his bidding. Or at least trying. But Jason's going, nah, calling a wimp. And, you know, one thing leads to another, and we get the epic brawl. But in between that, the movie itself, I will say this, acting's poo. Besides Jason and Freddy, the acting's terrible. Awful. But that doesn't make the movie bad. A lot of great movies have terrible acting. It can happen. But the writing, for any character that's not Freddy and Jason, it's just not solid. And in this one, I'm going to get to this topic, but they show the asylum from Elm Street 3, which is so yummy. The fact that they even show it is yummy. And the characters, they're not that memorable to me. There is this blonde, this blonde girl whose father was killed by who she thinks is that her like dad killed her mom or something like that, but in the end it's like Freddy killed her mom. It was an illusion. So she's got this final girl beef with Fred, and you know, it's just great, you know. But I'm gonna get down to this. When you get to the kills that involve Freddy, not Jason. Let me spoil it. There's one. Yeah. And for some reason, and I still don't know why, and this is just my thing, I'm not gonna go on a whole Fred tangent. But I will warn you, I will give you a caution that they make Fred a hesitant pansy in this movie. That's right. He's hesitant. He gets close, but he never ever takes the slice, which I know isn't the Freddy we know, but it's alright. I can understand it. I mean, the plot points was for tall Jason to get a lot of the kills, and for Fred to just try and fight him. I mean, I'm not going to do this whole like Fred argument where I say it's like the movie's one-sided, you know. I mean, Fred did look pimp in the movie, and he was pimp, and he did get one kill, and he did fight Jason, so all's forgiven. I just will tell you, he is hesitant in the movie. So, his kills, he gets one. So, Freddy's kills in the movie is like, I'm not even going to give it a ranking. I feel like it's like one. Now, I know what you're talking to. I know what you're here for. For this ranking is how epic was that final fight with Jason and Freddy? So rewarding, so epic. Even though Freddy didn't get a lot of kills on the people in the movie, I mean, all's forgiven because we got what we really wanted anyway, and that was for him to face off against the hockey mask killer himself. So, all was forgiven on that account. I mean, truly, it was absolutely rewarding. And, you know, I will admit, in the real world, this is only one of the fights, right? If we're talking about the other fight, where it's in the dream world, Fred prevails because he's got all his powers and all his knickknacks and all the stuff he does, all his abilities. In this movie, in real, the fight at the end, so not that fight, the fight at the end is like crazy because it's the real world, and Freddy messed up by trying to sedate Jason, to kill Jason, try to get him to do his bidding. The brawl happens. Freddy gets slashed at him, he gets tossed like a rag doll, and gets stuck on everything because Fred's a bit clumsy, and Jason whips him, but then Freddy gets some good hits, and at the end there's this huge epic confrontation. I won't spoil the whole thing. If you haven't seen the movie, watch it. It's great. But yada yada yada. Fred gets his own glove through his own chest, gets decapitated, which I won't rant and say I'm upset about that. Hey, it was into the movie, and Fred did do a wink at the end. His decapitated head did. So there you go. That's a very fast rundown of the film, because a lot of it's Jason, and I'm not diving into Jason of the movie, just Freddy. I'm saving the Jason element for Jason's Friday the 13th review in the future. So, we're at it, guys. The final movie, the final review. Freddy versus Jason gets a solid 7 out of 10. I don't know, I almost pushed it to 8 category. I almost pushed it to like 8 or 9. Actually, you know what, screw it. Solid 8 out of 10. Scratch the whole 7. The movie's amazing. Freddy's scary. He's back to being scary again. And Robert's just doing crazy stuff in the movie. We see Demon Freddy is so cool. And Robert's Freddy is amazing in the movie, regardless of his hesitantness. It didn't affect the character, in my opinion. And the movie is great. And you've got to watch it, and it's amazing. So, an 8 out of 10. That's it, folks. The final ranking. You will see right here the screen for my final ranking. You'll see a little Photoshop image I did of my list. Alright, time for our shoutouts. So this is Voice Choice's first video, and I'd like to shout out my best buddy who works with me at our company, T.A Productions. Look it up. T.A and Alex Show, which I will either link or something. And he also has a YouTube channel called Juicy Biscuits 96. I suggest you check it out. He does ranking videos and different compilations, and just subscribe. Really, help him out, and he'll love it. Now, also, I gotta let the gates loose. I gotta tell you, if you haven't already subscribed to our show, please do subscribe. We got Larry stuff. We got the Saga Larry, which is our PG-13 Larrys. We got my new BSU film I made, Too Many Alexes. Worked hard on it. And I can't tell you. I think I can. Very soon. Which I'll tell you big news last, but more Larry is coming. That's right, I'm coming. He's coming soon. Sarah's written a bunch of stuff, and you can expect both Larry and Dilbert on YouTube soon. But not as PG-13. Most of these new ones will be rated R, so children be advised. Besides that, the final thing is me and Taylor are also on Taylor and Alex Show going to be posting songs under the band name, under the group name. Big Tasty and Little Juice, simply that's the going title. They're parody videos, cover videos, different types of fun videos of us doing songs that are some original, some are parodies and whatnot. And they're going to be really neat. Some of animation, live action, different stuff. So, please do subscribe to this channel and the ones I have shouted out. And have your voice do its choice. Have an amazing day. This is the song, so I guess the vid's over. Now you gotta click on to the next page. This is the song, the very end. So I'm singing again. This is the end of the video. Please subscribe, comment down below. This is the end of what you're seeing. But it's the end, not the end. Oh, it's the beginning. This is the end of my video.